All right, so it says that we are live. I don't know if y'all can see the video.
Hold on.
See it?
Give me a second while I pull it up. It's time to start the music.
Y'all can see the video. Oh, I can see or I can hear myself. Here we go. Now I can see it. Awesome.
How's everybody doing?
All right. Does everyone have it muted so we don't have any reverb?
Woof. Omnidog is muted.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, here we are. Welcome to another exciting installment of the Omnibros Live, featuring hardcover reviews, Jess the Omnidog, and myself, Riley the Omnibus Collector, as your host for this week. How are you guys doing, my friends?
I'm doing well. I'm actually just getting over kind of like a little flu that I had this past week. It's been yeah. Nick Munoz in in the Facebook group, he's one of my Patreon subscribers, and he quickly pointed out, he goes, "Dude, you look really rough." I was like, yeah, I'm kind of dying right now while I'm recording videos, and that pretty much explains why there was a lack of content, because I was trying not to die this week.
I've been there.
Yeah, you were just there a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and they sent me home, and even though I look pretty dapper in my sweater and bow tie, I was feeling like death. So definitely been there.
Well,
so
I'm
we've got
and happy. No sickness.
Oh yeah, Jess, you're healthy and happy, but a member of your family isn't. By which I mean your beloved automobile.
Oh yeah, my car broke today. My beloved 16-year-old Toyota convertible broke. $7,000 worth of repairs are needed, and that's not even what the car is worth anymore. So it am broke, and I got to get a new car.
So basically, you're gonna be a month without comics.
Maybe even more. I don't know.
Ooh. Oh, that's about your budget.
Yeah, this is a budget buster. I don't know. This comics are going to be laughed at. When the car is just going to laugh at my comics. I don't know. It's a real bummer, but I'm happy to be alive and with you guys.
Hey, that's the important thing.
So this week, our topic that we chose to talk about was independent books. I believe that it was actually a viewer who asked Jess if we could have an episode focused on more indie books, because we do often cover a lot of mainstream books. So all three of us, we picked a few books to talk about this week. We're not overlapping. We always try to make sure about that. And I think we have some pretty good choices. But before we get into the main stuff, as usual, we can talk about what you guys have been reading this week. Whoever wants to begin.
I just have two books that I finished this week. I'll give a shout out to Bobby Chesterfield from the UK. He's the one that came up with the idea of independent books. Nice. So props to him. The first book I read was The Fade Out, which I was eagerly awaiting, this fabulous deluxe edition. And let me just get some photo bait going. It was wonderful. Just I think it's one of the better ones that I've ever read by Brubaker and Phillips, and that's saying something, because everything he writes is great. And it's about a writer in Hollywood post-World War II during the McCarthy era naming of communists type of scandal that was going on in Hollywood at the time, where people were ratting each other out and the government was infiltrating studios. And this was extremely real to me. It seemed like it was torn from the pages of those headlines back then in yesteryear. It was just it moved. I read it in like a day. It moved so fast, and it kept me guessing till the very end. And it was just, I don't know. It was just spot on, brilliant. I can't say enough about The Fade Out. It was a wonderful book, and I just really loved it. And it's a big, chunky monster of a book, and I loved it. And of course, I only read books that I love. I don't talk about hardly books that I don't love. So another book I loved was The Fifth Beatle, story of Brian Epstein. And while the art was great and the writing was great, it's really a very sad story. If I can get the proper photo bait in here, he is, largely responsible for getting the Beatles on track, getting them properly promoted, getting them to the worldwide fame they had. He's the guy that is considered the fifth Beatle. And he was a closeted homosexual back at a time when it was against the law in England and probably the United States back in the 50s and 60s to be gay. And he was even taking medicine that was supposed to keep him, cure his homosexual tendencies. There's a lot of good Beatles stuff in here, but it's mostly all about Brian Epstein and what he did to make them the fabulous group they were, and how much of it he orchestrated, how much of their success he orchestrated. He took them from the small clubs and talked his way onto the Ed Sullivan Show, and it really broke him big. And it even covers, right here, covers his Brian Epstein's meeting with Colonel Tom Parker, who was the slime ball behind Elvis. And Brian thought that his lunch with Colonel Tom Parker was going to really help him figure out ways to make the Beatles even bigger, and he realized that Colonel Tom was pretty much the devil incarnate, and that he didn't work for Elvis. Elvis worked for him, and so he walked away from that pretty disillusioned. And it was extremely informative, really fun to read, but in the end, very sad because he just couldn't be himself at a time, back when gays were not free to come out of the closet. And so it was sad in that way, but it was also a really well written and well drawn book, and I enjoyed it.
I've read it. I absolutely love it. It's such a touching and moving and powerful story. It's so good, man. It really is. And those last few pages, if they don't hit you in the feels, the last few pages, you are dead inside. I don't care who you are. It is such a moving and powerful story. And to see how this guy who, in a way, kind of doesn't get enough recognition from a lot of the mainstream media, because if you ask people, oh, you know who the Beatles are, right? 9 times out of 10, they'll be able to list them off and they'll be able to tell you who they are. But if you ask them, who's Brian Epstein?
Right.
I don't know who that is. And it's a very tragic story, and it's so good though, and it's drawn beautifully.
He did, it was drawn beautifully, and he didn't like any publicity for himself. He really wanted it for the boys, as he called them, and so that's why he faded into the background so much that he just almost faded out of existence as far as the Beatles' success got bigger and bigger. So I don't know. It was heartbreaking.
Anything else?
I agree. That's a fantastic book. I remember reading it a little while ago in the hardcover edition, loving it. Luis, what did you read this past week?
Not much. Like I said, I was trying not to die. So, but I did manage to squeeze in, since I'm starting Manga Mondays next week, Full Metal Alchemist.
Is that the set you won on eBay?
Yeah, this is the set I won on eBay. I won all 27 volumes of Full Metal Alchemist for $100.
Wow.
Cannot beat that price. Awesome series.
So you need to give me some commission on that one.
Yeah. But since I've seen the anime Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but if you've never read Full Metal Alchemist, I highly recommend you check the series out. It is brilliant. I think you recommended it like 1 or 2 weeks ago, Riley, if I'm not mistaken.
It was last week. No,
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
With the our comics for beginners thing, because I listed that as a book for beginners, not only just to comics in general, but for people who are already into comics who might want to get into reading manga as well.
Yeah, but Full Metal Alchemist, brilliant series starring the Elric brothers, and essentially what happens is that at the beginning of the story, they They in this world, you are able to do what's called alchemy, which is kind of a form of magic. But in order for alchemy to work, you have to do what's called the law of equivalent exchange. You just can't pop things out of nowhere. You have to balance the scales. So at the beginning of the story, the two brothers are trying to bring back their mom from the dead. Now, if you know anything about doing something like that, bringing back people from the dead, it's a bit of a taboo, playing God. And things go horribly wrong for them. One of them loses their entire body, and he is placed inside of this metal armor because that's all he has left. His soul is placed inside of a metal armor. The other one loses an arm and a leg. And essentially what happens is that they go throughout this entire city looking for a way to discover how to put their bodies back together the normal way. Along the way, they meet other alchemists. They meet different people with different abilities. Roy Mustang, if you've ever read the series or seen it, is a badass. I love this series. If you were somebody that has ever been kind of gun shy about manga and getting into manga and things like that, there's always 3 series that I recommend for everybody. There's 20th Century Boys, Pluto, and Full Metal Alchemist. Brilliant series. I absolutely love this. And the fact is, this is my first time reading the manga because I watched Brotherhood first. And if you've seen Brotherhood, you know this follows Brotherhood to a T. It's really close to it. So that's pretty much it.
It sounds brilliant.
Yeah, it's a really great series. I definitely highly recommend it as well. Obviously, I did talk about it a couple weeks ago. I still haven't watched. I've only watched the original anime. I still haven't watched Brotherhood because I have this almost like strict rule that I abide by where I don't watch anime that I've read the manga for because I'm usually just disappointed. Unless I go ahead and completely forget everything that it's about, and then I'll watch it just to remind myself instead of rereading it. But that's just the thing that I personally do.
I mean, I recommend you do check it out based upon what I've heard. I've always heard that if you enjoy the manga, Brotherhood is basically the manga on screen. That's pretty much all it is.
It definitely is. I've watched a few episodes, and I think the finale of Brotherhood because my sister's fiance is also really into it, and he was like, "Oh man, you gotta watch like." And I was like, "Did it finish the way that the manga did?" And then we watched the last episode, and I was like, "Yes, it did." So yeah, it's the same thing. It's just like I don't know, like when you have something playing out in a certain way in your head, and you know how it looks in your head, and then it looks different on screen, it's always going to be a little bit disappointing. So I try not to either A, not put myself through that, or B, like I said, just forget about it completely. And then when I'm like, oh, gee, I don't remember anything about Full Metal Alchemist, I'll go and watch it and be like, cool, that was awesome. And it won't even bother me.
You're quite lucky to have a future brother-in-law that's into that stuff, I think, to have somebody to talk to. I don't know.
Yeah. He's not into Western stuff. He's only into like manga and anime. And video games.
Yeah.
So it's cool because I do have someone, because I don't have a ton of friends in real life to talk to about that stuff. So I've got him.
I got 0 friends to talk. You were my friends to talk to about it. I got nobody in real life. I'm Full Metal nerd, all alone down here in the basement.
Unfortunately,
all my friends.
I'm fortunate enough. All my family are giant dorks. Yeah, like my cousins watches the most obscure anime shit. He's like, "Have you ever seen this anime where sex is illegal and like people cook for a living and all?" I'm like, No, I haven't, John. No, but I'm sure you have, and I'm sure it's really weird.
I mean, I've got family that's into weird stuff as well, but mostly like, all my friends have moved away. I mean, I'm in a different city now, so the ones back home, I'm not near them. And the friends I make at work mostly are not into the same stuff that I'm into. So I don't really have people to talk to. And then like my friend who I would always like text and call and stuff about these things, he passed a couple years ago. So now I'm just like, what do? I don't have anyone to go to. But yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as far as what I've read this week. I'm in the same boat as you, Luis, as in that, not that I was sick, but just I didn't really read anything. I spent my week catching up on cartoons.
Yay!
Yeah. So I was catching up because I'm like a season behind on both Regular Show and Adventure Time. So I was catching up on both of those shows. And I was reading a couple of issues here and there of some other stuff, and then I read most of one book that I'm going to be talking about today, so I don't really want to talk about what that was until we're actually talking about our indie book. So I read 4 out of 5 chapters of that, so I can't give a full description of it, but the 4 chapters that I did read were fantastic, so I'll talk about that later. But
when you watch your cartoon shows, do you eat Fruity Pebbles?
I actually eat granola with yogurt or yogurt with granola. So
I'm sure
I've grown past the pebbles.
He's getting up there in age, man. You can't be eating that stuff like you used to.
Yeah.
Any cartoons I watch, man, I got a bowl of Fruity Pebbles right with me. It enhances the experience.
Nice. Next, I guess what I want to talk about, what did you guys get this week? I know, Luis, you just got a package in today.
Yes.
From Trades. Jess and I have to wait until tomorrow for ours to arrive because we decided to like you better than us.
Now, did you guys get the FedEx Prime? Did you get the FedEx shipping?
Yes.
I did.
And I still got it earlier than you guys. Wow, that's weird. I got this bad boy, which the preview video is already up on my channel. The War of Kings Omnibus, right here. The one that everybody's been hyping up about, and everybody's been talking about it like crazy. So I got this. That's without the dust jacket. I actually like the way this looks without the dust jacket. Yeah, I prefer this without the dust jacket. I think I might just take the dust jacket and store it, or find a custom dust jacket online because I like this better without it. So I got that, and let's put this back here. And there's the dust jacket for those of you that are curious about it. I think it looks pretty cool. It's okay. It doesn't look that great next to Annihilation and Annihilation Conquest, though. I also got the Miss Marvel hardcover. There's that one. For those of you Miss Marvel fans out there, I could not pass this up. I absolutely love the character. I think she's great. Oh, wow. That's really cool. Again, I might take this off. I like how they did that.
I saw an image of that earlier that I think it was Brendan posted.
Yeah, Brendan's been posting a lot of this stuff today.
As soon as I get my copy of that, I need to make a video about it because I have a lot of things to say about that series and why it's so A, successful, and B, significant. So hopefully I can churn something out tomorrow after it comes in. Otherwise, it might have to wait till a later day because I have a wedding to go to tomorrow.
There's definitely, you could talk for hours on why this is such a significant issue, just on the cultural ramifications that it's had overseas alone. Wasn't it like, if I'm not mistaken, a few years ago or something like that, they were using her as a symbol of strength overseas or something like that I was reading in the news a while back.
I don't recall.
I don't remember that either. But I know it's groundbreaking.
Oh, it's beautiful. And it's a beautifully done series. And I have the Outcast hardcover. Ooh. Nobody was giving this love in the Facebook group. I'm like, wow, nobody's ordering it.
I ordered it.
I was going to order it, but then I ran out of, I was like, shit, if I'm going to get Deadly Hands of Kung Fu whenever that comes out, I'm not going to have, I can't order this basically. So I had to sacrifice one to be able to afford the other. But if I can get a little, $20 here or there, round it up, I'll probably stick it in my next shipment.
Yeah, I'll probably dive into this tonight.
It's a good series. It's definitely a really good series. I recommend it. I do want it on my shelves for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd want it on my shelves too if my order had come in.
Yeah, but Jess, you ordered everything.
Okay.
Literally everything.
I think it sounds like Riley might have ordered more, but I can read off what I ordered. I got the Marvel Masterworks Black Panther Volume 2, Unbeatable Squirrel Girl hardcover, Teen Titans Silver Age Omnibus, Star Wars Heroes for New Hope, War of Kings Omnibus, Dark Knight 3 Master Race, number 6. The wild card in this was Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas hardcover, signed limited edition. That was expensive because there was no discount on it, but Fear and Loathing is my favorite book ever, and I really, once I saw it on in stock, it looked really good to me. So that's a definite blind buy. I don't know a thing about it, but I'm hoping that it's going to be good. Northlanders Book 2, and Outcast, which Luis has and I do not.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm not bitter at all. I
I don't know why. I don't know why I get my packages so much earlier than most people. Everybody's like, "Yeah, I'm getting it on Monday." I'm like, I usually get it by Friday if I order on Wednesday.
That's great. You ordered Wednesday.
I mean Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday. Yeah.
That would really frost my cookies if you ordered Wednesday and got it today.
So it's kind of the equivalent of me having Amazon Prime with them, because if I use FedEx shipping, I get it in 2 days.
Well, I know that mine, I ordered Tuesday as soon as I could, given that I was at work at the time, but then it didn't ship until, like, I think late Wednesday. So I was like, come on, guys. just stick it in the mail. It's sitting there. Just stick it in the mail.
We're those people. That go on, and as soon as we order our IST order, where is it? It's
why hasn't it shipped?
Yeah, why isn't it shipped? It's flying over Kentucky now. I'm gonna hold my breath till it arrives.
You order it, and then 5 minutes later, like, why haven't they shipped?
Yeah,
is it lost?
How come they
Did
haven't?
they forget my box?
Why haven't they picked it yet? Why hasn't it been scanned yet?
You know what? This order was picked and scanned within an hour, and that's usually how it goes for me.
Yeah,
Oh,
if you order like only new books, like boom, it's out there real quick. It's when you start throwing in some old shit in there, that's when they get delayed, because it's like, oh god, like there's a something blocking up the cogs now. Like we have to go run and find this book, scan it in there.
And sometimes they have to go to
some store and buy it.
Sometimes you got to go through another warehouse. They got to go through like another warehouse or something.
Yeah,
like that
they have to bring things in from their old warehouse. So that's why I had 2 orders this week, actually. Like I had one that I made, I think, Sunday night, because I wanted to make sure I had that 2% stuck on there, because like Jess and I were saying before the show started, people go crazy for that 2%. And I ordered a couple of older books, not too old, just recent books, before, because I knew it would hold up, gum up the works for all of this week's stuff. But the 2 older things that I picked up were Black Panther by Chris Priest, Complete Collection Volume 4. So finally capping off that run. This one has issues 50 through 56 and 59 through 62 of Black Panther, as well as the 7-issue Crew series. I've read the first 2 volumes of this series, and it just got better as I went along. Like there's material in the 2nd volume that I think I made a video about a while ago, but it's just incredible. Really great look at the character of Black Panther. And then of course I got the 3rd Master Edition, the often delayed, it was supposed to come out back in August, of Lock and Key. So now I can read through this series all in one fell swoop with no delays.
Do it.
And then for Tuesday's order, what I'll be receiving tomorrow, I ordered, I think it was 9 books, and it was War of Kings and Miss Marvel. And like I said, I'm going to be talking about Miss Marvel because I have a lot of things to say about that book. I also got several manga volumes. I got One Punch Man Volume 9, I believe is a new one. My Hero Academia Volume 6. There's a new Legend of Zelda manga that came out. What's up? There's new collections of the Legend of Zelda manga that came out. It's called the Legendary Edition, and it has both volumes of Ocarina of Time in one oversized volume. Oversized meaning it's still smaller than a standard trade, but bigger than standard manga trade size, I guess. And they'll be doing those. I think there's going to be a series of 5 of them collecting all the Zelda adaptations. I also got JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3, Volume 1, which is the beginning of Stardust Crusaders, which is the most popular of the JoJo series, inarguably, because it was the one that was originally animated back in the day. It was the one that had a video game. It was the one that was first brought to the US, yada, yada, yada. Squirrel Girl, oversized hardcover Volume 1, Star Wars Heroes for Hope.
I forgot it.
And Northlanders Volume 2, which interestingly enough, I guess they're releasing these in order of like the chronology within the stories, because the material in volume 2 is actually like the last arc of the series. So I found that kind of interesting. But I think that's everything I ordered. I think that was 9 books.
Remember all that? I had to go to my mailbox to see what I ordered.
I deleted my email, Jess. I have no choice.
Just so we know, whatever time it is, Ryan Sace has already called me a bastard. So there we go. Mark it down.
And you've already been bastardized.
He's bastarded to me. All right.
That would be 6:35 Eastern Standard Time.
And I did get a couple other things in. I just wanted to shout out real quick. Some buddies sent me a couple of things, and I figured I'd give them some thanks right now. This came just today. This was a complete surprise. Giovanni, I don't know if you're watching right now, but he sent me a box set of Bleach. I do love Bleach, and I haven't watched the anime in forever.
Cool.
So this is from season 3, which is the kind of the, if I am correct, the end of the first real arc where they're like going into Soul Society to rescue Rukia. So that's awesome because that has some of the better fight scenes, I believe. And then also, even more surprising, and Jess knows about this one, was one of our old members, Gabriel. He sent me a package, and I was completely surprised, completely taken aback, because Gabriel and I didn't necessarily get along too well when he was in our group, and but he's gained a couple of really good friends from the group, and he sent me this really like heartfelt letter that just showed me like Gabe just being the bigger man in this situation between us, and it was just a heartfelt letter saying, you know, we might not see eye to eye on things, but I really thank you for making the group because I met a couple of really good friends through there, and they, you know, hang out all the time in real life, and they go to cons and stuff together. And he sent me a couple of pops from New York Comic Con. One of them being a black suit Spider-Man.
Ooh, that's cool.
This was a Walgreens exclusive. And then he sent me a Kitty Pryde that comes with a little Lockheed bobblehead as well. And Kitty Pryde is actually, like, if not my absolute favorite, one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite X-Men in all of comics. And this was definitely one of the pops that I definitely wanted to pick up. So I was just completely taken aback by his gesture. And I wanted to publicly thank him for being the bigger man and doing that. And I can't say enough, so I'll just stop talking there. So that's everything that I got for this week.
That's great.
I guess, yeah, it was really surprising. I huge props and huge thanks to him for doing that. It was really cool, really unexpected. Actually, I got the package and I saw his name on there, and I'm like, what is this?
I know. I gave out both your addresses to people this week so that you could get things that were that they wanted to send to you. And
yeah, I'm excited.
Before I give out your addresses, I always make sure that it's not going to be, you know, Gwyneth Paltrow's severed head or something in a box. So, oops, I just gave away the movie. Sorry.
Some good old facts up in here.
Yeah, Riley gets cool stuff, and I get a car bomb. That's great.
No, you're not getting a car bomb. I know what you're getting. You're getting something really cool that you'll dig.
I'm excited.
Coming all the way from jolly old England.
Jess is like our Postmaster General, Omnidog.
Yeah, people. Well, I wonder why people are always emailing me and saying, "What are their addresses? What am I? The Postmaster General, the page?"
You know, you guys can send Jess some love too. He does a lot for this group.
Oh, I get a lot of stuff. I get plenty of gifts, but
I've got this stack of boxes right here. These are all boxes I've kept from like gifts that people have sent me in the past month or so. And I've held on to them because I want to hold on to these addresses. And for some reason, I don't have the concept of an address book in my head. Like I just have like, all right, well, I'll keep that box here.
Keep the boxes.
So that way I can send out people, you know, maybe a Christmas card or a nice gift in return or something.
Do you remember
just to
what
thank
was in those boxes?
What's up?
Do you remember what was in those boxes, or do you just have an empty box with their address and say,
No,
"Dear
I know what
so
was
and
in
so,
these
thank you for whatever was in this box"?
Actually, a couple of these I actually bought. They weren't gifts, but I keep them anyway because just so I can send out some thanks from one Omnibro to another for sending out the love, even if something, whether someone just gave it to me or whether I purchased it from them. But I should, like I said, I should just write this all down. I should just have a Word document and keep it on file. But I'm lazy, apparently.
Well, I'll continue to give out your guys' addresses, and we'll see how much stuff you got.
Hooray!
Yay! I guess at this point we can start talking about the main topic of this show, which would be the indie books. So whichever one of you guys wants to start first, we're just like I said earlier, we got the prompt to talk about some indie books on the show. Just choose some that we really enjoy out of our collection. And so we're going to spend some time. Each of us chose a stack of books to talk about, and we're just going to let y'all know what they are and why we love them. So whoever wants to start, you can go right on ahead.
Postmaster Jess, you have the floor.
Okay, well, IST has my address since they sent me these books. First book I'll talk about, I went, this one's not obscure. It's been featured on the page, the Omnibus Pop Shop and Drop Collectors page. What's the name of that page again? The Omnibus?
Comic Swap and Community. Now you're making me forget, Jess.
First one, Independent Giant Days. There's 3 of these, and I've read the first one. I just got the other 2 in the mail. It tells the story of 3 girls at in Britain at university, as they call it, not college as we call it here, but at
Weirdos.
University, and it is great. It is so the artwork is so fun and perfect for this series, and it is just the adventures of what these 3 gals go through. The crushes they have, the loves they have, the nightmare of what it's like with social networking, so popular to go to college. In this first one, somebody these 3 guys print out and have a list of cute girls in the university, and
Oh, no.
it goes viral. And so the way the girls solve it is they call the boys' moms, and the moms show up and call them out in class. And I don't know if they're going to get spanked or what, but the moms are furious with the boys, and that's how the girls get revenge. And that's the kind of fun that happens in the book, because I'm quite sure that that kind of thing actually happens. But it's really well written and a lot of fun. Whether you're young, old, girl, guy, whatever, it's a lot of fun. And I have to thank, of course, who I thank for a lot of things, Matthew Sibley, who recommended Giant Days to me. And I'm looking forward to the other 2 books, because Giant Days is just a ton of fun, and it's just got great art, which I loved. And
I thought this series was going to wind up being about these girls fighting like kaiju or something. So
oh, Giant Days. Yeah, I haven't quite figured that out yet.
Yeah, the cover is deceiving. I thought it was about monsters and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm a little betrayed.
Yeah, no, it's no, it's not about monsters, or giants. Now this one's way obscure. It's put out by First Second, and it's called How the World Was. And I first read about this book, I think maybe even 2 or 3 years ago, in the Wall Street Journal. And it's about he's got 2 books out. It's by a famous French artist named, I'm going to butcher this, Emmanuel Ribert. I'm sure I butchered that, but it's the story of this guy who grew up in America, Alan Cope, and he grew. This is when he grew up in California back in the way early days of California, and the art is very simple but very complex in the same token. And it's got what his childhood was like, innocence-wise, growing up back in when there were orange groves in Los Angeles. And the second book is called Alan's War, and it's when he goes to World War II. The artwork is really amazing, and it has talk about having the feels. It has the feels in the end. I won't give away what happens in the end, but it's a lot for a little kid to take in, and it's very well done, very well written, and it's historical, and it's his biography as drawn by one of France's greatest artists. So I highly recommend this book for a change of pace. It's something that you won't see normally on somebody's top 10 list, because it is fairly obscure, but the story it tells is super interesting, and then has, of course, a heartbreaking ending, and is very interesting about growing up in California back in the olden days, before even I was born. So,
oh shit,
that tells you how old it is. Then this one is from Top Shelf, called Too Cool to Be Forgotten. And I'll just read the it's kind of a time travel book. Middle-aged Andy Wicks has tried everything to quit smoking, so he figures he'll give this hypnosis thing a try. What's the worst that could happen? Unfortunately, he's dealt a fate worse than death. High school. He's transported back to 1985 in high school with a chance to redo his high school career through hypnosis.
I don't.
But it looks like it's real. Yeah, and he's got his current mind, but he's trapped in his body in high school with a chance to redo all the things that we fucked up on. And everybody, including me, fucked up majorly in high school in many things. I am the first to admit that if I could go back in time, there's only about 180,000 things I'd change. And he gets a chance to do that, and all in an effort to quit smoking. This is by Alex Robinson, who's got a lot of other really good books that he's written, and I highly recommend it. It's got a fun sort of cartoony art style, but I was transported with him back to high school, and he does a good job of conveying all the anxiety and all the foolishness that goes on in high school, all in an effort to quit smoking. Alex Robinson, let me see if I can't see what other books he's done, but I know that he's done a bunch of other really cool books that you guys would know. But Too Cool to Be Forgotten was really good.
That sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, I think you'd really enjoy it. And this one, for somebody as famous as Kurt Busiek, I haven't seen anybody talk about this. A Wizard's Tale. This has gorgeous, gorgeous artwork in it, and it's about, I'll sum it up, it's about a wizard who's supposed to be an evil wizard, but he doesn't want to be evil. He just wants to do magic and hang around with his little magic imps and friends, and there's talking dragons and talking frogs and talking imps, and it is just gorgeously illustrated by David Wenzel. And I don't see, Kurt Busiek certainly is famous for an awful lot of things, but I never see anybody talking about this book. And the artwork is gorgeous, and the story is just fun and funny as heck, because this basically this guy's supposed to be a bad wizard, an evil wizard, and he's just too much of a goof up to do it. And he just likes he likes hanging out, and eventually he gets called to task by like the Society of Evil Wizards that it's time for him to become an evil wizard. And this is published by IDW, and I think that if you pick it up, you will love it as much as I did, because it just is a blast to read with gorgeous illustrations, and it deserves more attention. Kurt Busiek certainly, has tons of attention with Astro City and tons of his other books, but that's a book, The Wizard's Tale, that really needs some of you to pick it up and read it, because I really loved it a lot.
Looks like Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He does sort of look like Santa Claus. Yeah, well, you get sort of a warm, fuzzy feeling from him in these pages. It's just artwork that you can spend 5 minutes on each page. There's so much going on each page, and it looks painted to me, and it's just astonishingly good. And then I have two more, and this is probably the most famous of the books. This is the Image book that I'm going to promote, and that is Five Ghosts. I don't see enough people talking about it, but I loved it. The idea is that there are 5 action figures, 5 literary ghosts living in this treasure hunter, Fabian Gray, and he's also got access to their powers. And let me think, I don't know, he's got like a vampire, and he's got the ghosts of all these interesting things in him that I'm blanking on right now, but they're literary, like a pirate and a vampire and a werewolf or something. And all these ghosts are inhabiting his body, and he's an adventurer, and it shows what he goes through and how he has to call on these ghosts to help him in his adventures. And the artwork is amazingly perfect for an adventure book like this, because this is an action adventure book, and it also has the benefit of, sometimes I read on the Omnibus collector page about creators that people aren't fond of, so that they can't read their creation without thinking of the creator being a jerk. This is by Frank Barbieri, and he is a great guy. I met him twice, once at Third Eye Comics in Annapolis. He was doing a signing there. He could not have been a nicer guy. And then I met him at Awesome Con in DC, and it was just like, it was like I was doing him a favor by going up and talking to him. He just could not have been a nicer guy, and I think that Five Ghosts is one of the best things he's written. And the artwork is just compelling. It's perfect for the action adventure and the 5 ghosts when they manifest themselves in this adventurer. So I highly recommend. That's the only Image one I recommend, because Image, when you think about it, I don't know how independent they are anymore. I don't know if it's the big 2 or the big 3 now, because Image is so dominating so many of our reading lists. And the last book is put out by Magnetic Press, which puts out gorgeous books. And this one, Bon Idlehouse recommended to me. He's taken a break from the page, but he's recommended tons of great books. And this is Doom Boy. And it's hard to explain Doom Boy, except that the love of it, he's a young teenage kid, and you can see on the cover he's usually pictured as nothing but a big mop of hair and his guitar. And he loses the love of his life early in his life, like when he's a teenager, and he develops literally a hole where his heart should be. In this section right here, he develops that hole there that's present, and it details, the artwork's really cool. It's by Tony Sandoval, and I believe it is I think it's French and has been translated into English for the first time. But it's all about his music and how they secretly broadcast his music that he plays. It's just him and his guitar, and he goes out onto the beach and wangs away at his guitar, and they broadcast his music secretly without his knowing it. And it has a transformative effect on people listening to it, and it may possibly even reach out to his lost lover. It is really well drawn, fantastically interesting concept. Here he is, and his name's Id, so you can take that for, if you're a Freudian, you know what the id is. So here he is thwanging away on his guitar, and people speculating about what it's going to sound like. And a nice twist is there's some bullying in it, and there's a big fight scene at the end. There's some bullying in it, and what his music does to the bullies in this book. It's really amazing. I never saw it coming, and I never saw it coming. What happens to the main bully, and what happens to his gang? And this was well written, well drawn. Unfortunately, I don't have that great of a vocabulary, because all of my reviews are, this is well written and well drawn. So sorry guys, but if I like it, it's going to be well written and well drawn. I'm really not going to recommend something that's atrocious and really obnoxious. So, I mean, those are the only words I can think of right now. This is gorgeous and artistic, and I think will appeal to a lot of people out there. Magnetic Press puts out some of the most gorgeous books. Some big oversized hardcovers that I really need to get to, because as opposed to Riley, who reads, his read pile is like 80% read and 20% unread. Mine's like 20% read and 80% unread. I suck at that, and I'm sure I'm going to get some kind of hate comments in the chat that why are you collecting? Why bother collecting if you don't read what you collect? I do read what I collect. It's just that I collect so much that I can't keep up with it. So don't give me any comments. Just read what I tell you to read.
Dude, Doomboy looks awesome. I'm actually looking at it on Amazon right now about adding it to the cart. I'm not going to order it right now because I've ordered so much, but
it's up your alley.
So good.
I'm telling you, it's right up your alley. You trusted me on Irredeemable. This one you will love too.
Yeah, not only that, but I love that. It seems like it's got kind of a bit of a minimalistic art style from what you showed,
right.
And it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it really does. It was one of those books that I wouldn't have picked up on my own, but Bond recommended it, and he's got exquisite taste. Bond speaks like 5-7 different languages, grew up in Europe, and if I could ever get my act together and get back to reading Concrete like I'm supposed to be doing and contributing to the Concrete page that we have, I'd see that Bond has contributed amazing analysis of Concrete there. So yeah, Doomboy was definitely one that he recommended that I would have not known to pick up. And that is what has the Omnidog seal of approval for independent books. Thank you. Okay.
So Luis, I know you've got several exciting books to talk about.
Yes. I didn't go as super obscure as Jess did, which is really awesome that you did, man. Some of that stuff, I was already looking while you were talking. I was like, oh yeah, I want to add this. Oh, that sounds really good. I'm adding it to the Amazon cart for later on. But right now, my first one is going to be Lazarus by Greg Rucka and Michael Lark. Awesome series. Think about it as, you know, it's cliche. It's cliche this day and age to say that books are like this plus Game of Thrones, because everybody decides to throw that term out there. Yeah, this plus Game of Thrones. You know, it's a quick sell for a lot of people. Lazarus centers around the Carlisle family, more specifically around the titular character called the Lazarus. And what the Lazarus are is that they are these beings that are created by these different cities and these different societies around the world, and they are only allowed to create one per society. And essentially, they can almost not be killed. They can regenerate limbs, they can heal themselves at rapid paces. They are trained assassins. And what's basically happened in this world is that the entire hold on one second, guys. I gotta stop right now. I just got a text from somebody saying they're at the hospital.
What happened?
So, just give me a sec. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the stream. Riley, if you just take over from here for a quick second.
Okay.
I gotta make a phone call. Somebody's in the hospital.
Oh,
All
wow.
right, go for it.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll take over. We'll try not to miss a beat, but hopefully all is well with Luis, and we'll see what happens in a minute. But I'll dive right into. I've got a small stack of books I can talk about here. The first one, this is the one I mentioned that I was reading today, and I still have one chapter left, and that's We Can Never Go Home, published by Black Mask Comics, which is a smaller publisher that has done some stuff in the past few years. I know, Jess, that you mentioned to me earlier that you've actually read a lot of different stuff that they've published.
Right.
This, however, is the only thing that I've read from Black Mask, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
it's great. It's just basically the story. We have these two kids who are in high school, and some shit happens, and they wind up having to go on the run, and they're just kind of going wherever they can, trying to gather money, try to get things together so they can survive, so they can be okay on the run, and just kind of stay away from the authorities because they've done something that's not very good, and they need to stay safe. And so it's a very basic description of what's going on in this book. And just to give a look at the artwork, it's got really nice, it's not quite as different as the art in some of the books that Jess was showing off. It's more typical artwork, but it works really well for this story. I've really, the 4 issues that I've read, I was really engrossed in it, and I was actually like trying to finish it up quickly before we started. While Jess and Luis were getting ready for the stream, I was trying to sit here and read that last chapter. So far, what I've read, like I said, 4 out of 5 chapters, I can't recommend it enough. And it's only like a $10 book. It's really great. It has that real like kind of punk rock vibe to it with these kids in there, and even the way that the book is designed has that mixtape thing on the back. So it's a really great book.
Doesn't he have like a mixtape that he recommends there? Maybe at the end. Maybe you haven't got to it yet, but I think that he has like a mixtape suggestion.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
There's a bunch of songs at the end that he recommends to listen to while.
Guys, sorry, I gotta cut this off short for me. I gotta go. Okay.
I'm sorry, Luis. I hope everything's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you guys in the chat later. Okay.
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 All right.
Take care.
Sorry about
that,
night,
guys.
man.
Have a good night,
Yeah,
guys.
no problem.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye. All right. So, do we want to just continue
Sure.
as normal? Okay.
So there's a mixtape suggestion in the back of it. That's like
yeah,
punk rock stuff.
Yeah, there are mixtape suggestions in the back of this book, so he does put that in there for each issue.
Yeah, for each issue. That's really cool.
There's stuff like the Clash and I think he recommends Husker Du or whatever in one of the issues to the girl in the book. So it's a really I don't know, it's a really interesting, really good little book, and it's really made me interested in seeing a lot more of what Black Mask has out there as far as a publisher, because like I said, I've not read anything from them before. But Jess, you were telling me of a few of them that you had read, and I believe you said that all of them were pretty positive in your eyes.
Yeah, I read a lot of them in singles. I haven't seen a bunch collected yet. I think The Disciple was one that is collected, but I just haven't had a chance to buy it yet. But I read Toe Tag Riot. That was really good. The Disciple, and a couple other books by Black Mask. I read them in singles, and I really enjoyed them. They do definitely have a punk rock ethic to that studio. It definitely seems like sort of a do-it-yourself program, but it's not like a fanzine. I mean, they're really well put together, very nicely done, but it does have like a punk rock sort of aesthetic to it.
Brendan had just asked me on the chat on the video when that book takes place, and I believe it takes place, it's like a contemporary book, because when he hands the girl the mixtape, she's like, I don't have a cassette player. What is this? Like, he's like, oh, yeah, I know. So it's kind of, you know, a little, and it's charming because it's got, on top of being this, you know, really, I guess, like, I don't know, it has these like a few sci-fi things in it, but on top of that, it's also a book that kind of focuses on a little bit of realism and a little bit of like what it's like to be, you know, a kid in high school, you know, the kid that was unpopular and like trying to talk to the popular girl and stuff like that. So it has a little of that mixed in there before it just gets completely turned on its head. And I always appreciate that in books. Like, I'm a big fan of the books that kind of give you a realism as far as what it's like to be a kid in high school, because we all, you know, you talked about it in one of your previous books, Jess, like it's something that we all go through and it's something that we can all relate to.
Right.
Moving forward, I guess I don't have a ton to say about that one because, like I said, I haven't finished the book yet. Moving forward, I picked out BPRD. Specifically, I picked out the third of the Omnibus editions.
Because it's the hardest to find?
No, not because this is the hardest one to find, but because this is the one that's most vividly in my memory. Because this is my favorite chunk of that Plague of Frogs story. This one, you get to really know the character on the cover is Ben Daimyo, and you get to know his history. And this whole book plays out like, and if you've had the hardcovers, you know these are each, I believe it's 3 of the smaller paperbacks collected into one hardcover edition. And each of the 3 books that are in here, they're one like overarching connected story that's kind of reminiscent to me of like The Thing, in that it's like, you know, this kind of contained horror story where you're in this really limited area. It's really, really interesting to me, the way that this book in particular played out. And I wanted to bring up BPRD, number 1, because I love the series, and number 2, because I know that Luis always brings up Hellboy. And he's brought it up a few times throughout when we've been doing this show. And I know he loves Hellboy, and I just wanted to talk about the other side of, you know, the Mignola-verse, the other major book, which is BPRD. Right now, I've only read that Plague of Frogs. It's the 4 volumes, so I haven't read Hell on Earth because I'm still waiting for the hardcovers to come out, which I know they've said they will be coming out soon. But if you have not read BPRD yet, even if you haven't read Hellboy yet, I highly recommend it. And this volume, number 3, you can still get the paperback really easily, so there's no worries there, is just great. Like, it's one, I don't know why I didn't bring it up last week, but it's one of my favorite examples of a horror comic that I've ever read.
And you can read that separately by itself. You don't need to know about Hellboy ahead of time, correct?
Right. It works completely on its own because at this point, Hellboy had actually left the BPRD.
Okay.
And the ongoing series does not feature him at all. Well, he might show up as a few cameos appearances, but it's very separate. It takes place very self-contained as opposed to the main Hellboy series. So you can read both of them by themselves, or you can read them both together, whichever way you want.
Right. Okay.
Then I also grabbed off my shelf Mind Management. This is the first hardcover of this 6-volume series by Matt Kent. It was 36 issues collected across six issue hardcovers. I'm sure that down the line we'll get some library editions somewhere because it was such a highly praised book. Just to read the description on the back really quick, because it's been a while since I've read it. Reporting on commercial flight where everyone on board lost their memories, a young journalist stumbles onto a much bigger story, the top secret mind management program. Her ensuing journey involves weaponized psychics, hypnotic advertising, talking dolphins, and seemingly immortal pursuers as she attempts to find the flight's missing passenger, the man who has mind management's greatest success and its most devastating failure. But in a world where people can rewrite reality itself, can she trust anything she sees? So it's this really interesting kind of almost like an espionage book with this secret society of superpowered people. And each person that you meet who's a member of Mind Management, no matter what side of the management they might be on, have really interesting abilities that they've used to kind of go forward with this whole secret society idea. And Matt Kent is a brilliant writer, and his art is really great, but it is something that you kind of have to get used to because his art is very different from a lot of what you see in comics. And a lot of people don't like it, which, you know, I understand because I wasn't a huge fan right off the bat. But once you read a little bit more of the book, you tend to find that his art just fits this series so well, and you really, I couldn't see it with any other artist, honestly. It kind of reminds me of my feelings towards Jeff Lemire. Like when I first started reading Sweet Tooth, I wasn't completely enamored with his artwork, but after reading a couple of story arcs, I was like, man, I love Lemire's art. Like I couldn't imagine it being anyone else. And Matt Kent actually drew a few issues of Sweet Tooth. So,
oh, okay. I don't think I knew that.
It's a few of them towards the end of the book, and it kind of tells a little bit of the history behind what's happening in the main Sweet Tooth story. But I totally recommend this series. I don't think any of these volumes are hard to find right now. I think it's still pretty easy to get. And I also recommend pretty much anything else that Matt Kent has written. I don't believe I've ever been disappointed in a single Matt Kent story for mainstream comics or for indie stuff. After this, he actually started at Dark Horse writing another series called Department H, which is another kind of mystery thriller book, but it takes place underwater. So
yeah, I read Mind Management in floppies, and I loved it. You're right. It takes a little bit to get used to the art, but I agree. It was a cool concept, and in the hardcovers, is there still little writing that goes along the page and stuff? There's all kinds of hidden clues and things.
They do leave that in there, which I was actually surprised by because I remember, like, you can kind of see the blue lines. There's some writing somewhere on there on the pages in the margins.
Right.
I remember in the single issues, Kent even said, like, for those of you who buy the single issues, there's material in here you won't find in the hardcovers. And I was thinking that might have been a bit, but I think it's actually those black and white stories that he has on the inside of the covers.
Oh, right. Oh, so those aren't collected in the hardcovers?
No, those don't appear in the hardcovers, which is unfortunate because they actually kind of delve into some of the characters themselves, giving you more of an insight as to their abilities, what they've done in the past, who they really are, and stuff like that. So that's kind of upsetting. But the little notes in the margins are actually always really entertaining. They're like notes from the Mind Management Field Agent Guide, I think is what it was. So like it says here, Mind Management Field Guide 4.22, deep breathing and letting go of, and then it's just interrupted and it says, if you haven't done it yet, it might already be too late. Take Bill and get out. So it's actually like part of the story. So later here, Field Guide 5.12, to avoid catastrophic management fallout, medication may sometimes be used to, but if I tell you now, you won't believe. Like, so they'll use it supposed to be secret messages that they're kind of giving towards other members of the management. So yeah, really great book. I highly recommend it. Like I said, I love Matt Kent. He's you know, not for everyone, I don't think, because of his art style being so different, but if you can get used to it, it's just beautiful stuff. And he really does do beautiful work, and it's all like, you know, watercolor painted, and I think his wife is the one who helps him ink it, if I'm correct. So really cool stuff there. And then the next thing, I'm picking a lot of Dark Horse here. The next book I want to talk about was Umbrella Academy.
Yes, excellent.
It's a fantastic book. I read this first one many years back. I think like right after it was collected, and then I went into collecting the single issues of the second volume, which is Umbrella. This is Apocalypse Suite, and this is called Dallas. And the Umbrella Academy is written by the My Chemical Romance frontman Gerard Way, with art by Gabriel Ba from the of the twins, Gabriel Ba and Fabio Moon, whom you might recognize from books such as Day Tripper and Matt Fraction's Casanova titles. So the story is, it's kind of Gerard Way's version of the Doom Patrol or the X-Men, which is interesting to say because now Gerard Way is writing Doom Patrol. And there's a lot of influences in here from Grant Morrison, actually, in kind of like the characters. It's influenced by Grant Morrison's run on the Doom Patrol. And what it is it focuses on this group of kids. It's been a while since I've read the book, so I don't remember exactly how many of them there were. But there's all these siblings who have different abilities, basically, and they've grown up. They used to be students at this at a school together. And you can correct me if I'm remembering things wrong, Jess.
I read it 5 years ago, so I don't even know what I can remember. I just remember I loved it.
It's been a while for both of us, basically, but it's you know, these kids, they grew up, they were and as they grew up, they all got into different things, and they all, you know, some of them continue adventuring in some ways, some of them do other stuff. I believe one of them is lost in time through this book, and it's just, each character is just really interesting. I remember each one of these characters being so intriguing in their own right, and like so different from each other, and it's really fun to see like how they grew up and stuff. And then stylistically, the artwork in the book is great by Gabriel Ba. Like every page is just a joy to see. But also it has this really great yeah, and there is a guy with a gorilla body. I don't know if you guys saw that on there. But I really love there's like this style that Gerard Way gives, with the, like, you know, Futura font being used on the title pages and stuff like that, and just really great like tongue-in-cheek sense of humor throughout the series. That's echoed in the second volume as well, which I love this because there's a couple characters in here that these assassins in there that I just absolutely loved. I forget their names, but they were just hilarious characters in here. There's the back of their heads right here, but it's a really just fun book. If you're a fan of the Doom Patrol, the run by Grant Morrison, I think this is something that you definitely like to pick up because it echoes a lot of that, like I said. And Way and Morrison have actually, you know, become friends with each other. Morrison has appeared in several of the music videos for My Chemical Romance, and they've, you know, appeared together at conventions, I believe it is, and, you know, they're decently good, you know, friends, if not just acquaintances at this point, which is really cool because I would love to like have my mentor, or my like inspiration, my muse, all of a sudden become my friend. That would be so great. So I'm envious.
That would be cool.
I'm envious of Way. I'm envious of Way in that. But also, I recommend at this point in time going back, and if you haven't checked out Umbrella Academy yet, checking it out now, because Way, like I said, he's now writing Doom Patrol. So kind of conceptually, the way that he wrote these books, I think, is kind of carrying over into what he's doing on the new Doom Patrol book. So it might be worth it, and I'm probably going to wind up rereading these really soon, because looking through this, I just reminded myself how much I've really forgotten about the Umbrella Academy outside of just the lingering feeling that it gave me of, you know, satisfaction in something that I read. So that's my final big recommendation. But then while I was perusing my independent shelf, I saw something that made me chuckle, and I thought I'd bring it up here, and that's Boys Club.
What the hell is that?
So artist Matt Fury, he introduced us to these 4 characters. Andy Brett Landwolf, and the most famous Pepe the Frog. Pepe is actually used in a ton of memes and has been
That's where I've seen him before.
For years. He's been like probably about a decade now since he was first introduced. They actually took it. The original meme that they used, and I'm going to see if I can find that page in here. Is I think it's like Landwolf walks in on Pepe, and he's taking a piss, and he's just standing there with his pants all the way down, and he's like, you know, Pepe pulls his pants down. Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah. So you see him, he just pulls his pants all the way down. And then, you know, later that day, hey Pepe, I heard you pull your pants down all the way to go pee. And then he says, feels good, man. And that's the little image, that's the macro that became famous online.
The feels good, man? Ah.
Yeah, everywhere. And it's crazy. And so like what was even crazier is because of the popularity of that image and that meme, the original like Boys Club zines, because this was collected in zine format, you know, just stapled issues, I believe. They went so out of print that it was just, you know, impossible to find them, and you'd see them going online for, you know, inordinate amount of price, you know, amount of money for these just single issues, just because people wanted to be like, yeah, I've got the comic that has, you know, Pepe the Frog in it. And they released it in this complete collected edition of all of the Boys Club strips sometime, I believe, either early this year or late last year. And I grabbed it up because I, you know, I don't want to say grew up, but the past, you know, 10 years of my life, I've, you know, been part of the, you know, the 4chan meme culture and stuff. Right. I actually am, as well as being an admin on the on our group, I've been for almost a decade an admin on a Facebook group that's like 4chan memes and stuff. And so I was like, I have to get that so I can show everyone on that group that I have that book. And that's basically the reason I have it. But I saw it on my shelf and I was like, holy shit, I haven't pulled this out since the day I got it. Like I need to pull this out. That's hilarious. But it's basically it's all just little one-off, you know, single page comic strips, just like that one I showed of these 4 dudes that are meant to be like probably early 20s, you know, anthropomorphic characters that just, you know, drink and smoke bud all day. And that's it.
Is there a meme of Pepe full color frog crying? I seem to recall something like that.
Yeah, people have edited his picture, and they might have taken images straight from the book as well and just made a bunch of different versions of the Pepe meme. And Pepe's like one of the most popular memes out there at this time, and it's crazy because I feel like I've watched him grow up the past decade. Like I found a picture from here of Pepe as Justin Bieber, basically. So it's an amusing little book. It's not the highest quality book that I've ever read. I'm not going to try and lie and say that, but it's definitely amusing, and it's just fun to have that. And I've shown people and been like, what you know about that Pepe the Frog, you know?
What's it called again?
The book itself is called Boys Club.
Okay.
It's like, I want to say, 200 pages long or something. Yeah, it's not even 200 pages of just a bunch of single page comic strips. like I said, these guys just getting drunk and getting high and eating Cheese Whiz and shit.
I love the sound of it.
It's something else, man. It's something else. But yeah, I that's what I got for this week. Those are my books for this week. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see everything that Luis was going to show us, and I'm sure like he's going to let us know what's going on with him. So we don't want to be disrespectful or anything.
Right.
To continue doing the show, but he asked us to keep doing it. So I hope everyone's still cool with that, and then we'll hear from Luis pretty soon. So I'm sure, no worries. Otherwise, he would have told us something right away. So, but as we go forward, I guess the next segment that we get to would be the Evil Riley story.
Yay! Nothing.
Which is everyone's favorite time.
Evil Riley.
Colin had actually made a song, but I didn't save it anywhere.
Oh, that's right.
You remember?
Yeah.
Did he very like
ukulele or something?
What?
Did he play it on his ukulele?
I think he did, and I just gave him some random lyrics like "Evil Riley's gonna come and fuck your shit up, steal your toys, whatever." Like, and he just took the random words that I said and sung them into a song with a ukulele in this really like morose and haunting tone. But
That's
with
right.
ukulele playing in the background. So anyway. I actually like didn't think about a story until like the last minute, and I was actually, chatting with Jess and Luis and saying like, guys, I have no idea what I'm gonna do for Evil Riley. Like I know that people count on these stories every week now, and just I was talking to my sister. Like I was texting my sister, and my wife Megan was saying, hey guys, to my sister and my sister's fiance, who are both coming in town late tonight. She's like, hey, do y'all want to go out for breakfast tomorrow and then go see Doctor Strange? And then like her fiance was like, yeah, that sounds good. And then my sister was like, what's that? And then her fiance is like, oh, it's a new Marvel movie. And my sister goes, Doctor Strangelove. And I was like, no, not Doctor Strangelove. Like where that movie that's a Kubrick film from like 1964. Where did you get that? And I was just asking her like where she got that. Like, because I don't even know that she's watched any Kubrick movies, because she's not really a film person. She watches like romantic comedies and like cheesy horror movies.
Right.
So I was just, where did that come from? And then she like bounces back at me with this like, basically like, fuck you, I'm not 100% up to date with all your shit. And I was like, whoa, dude. I just like thought of this story, and I'm like, I can tell them a story about when I was an asshole to my sister. and if anyone out there who's a fucking an older sibling, and you've got a younger sibling, younger sisters, you've probably been an ass to them multiple times in the past. Like it's just a thing. It's part of growing up, and I've done so much, and she's done a lot to me too. She actually one time she bit the skin right off of my knuckle. I don't even know for what reason, but she
What's
did.
her name?
So her name is Satan. No, her name is Brianna.
Brianna. Evil Brianna.
Yeah. I don't even know why. I was like holding my hand on a door just to like be like, don't go in there. And then she got pissed and like bit my hand, and like skin came off. I was like, what the fuck? And that was when we were really little. That was weird. Like I was like, I didn't know a 3-year-old had those kind of chompers. But
angry child.
Yeah, it was weird. But so the story, I guess this was back in like 2008, or not 2008, 1998. Let's go 10 years back. 1998, because it was when Star Wars Episode 1 had just come out. So let's, go back in time. All the merchandising for Star Wars Episode 1, all the toys, all the figures, all of that stuff. And for my birthday that year, we had a Star Wars themed birthday. I had a cake that my mom made that looked like a lightsaber, and she put like Darth Maul fighting Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn on top of the cake, and it was super cool. I was like the coolest kid that summer. It was so I also, on top of all the toys, someone gave me the replica, not replica, but like, the toy version of Darth Maul's lightsaber. The cheap ones where if you like swing it, the lightsaber part would come out, and it was this like plastic tube.
Okay.
So I got that, and it was cool because like, you could swing it and both of them would come out because it's two-sided.
Right.
And so you turn it on, it would make the noise and like zoom, zoom, like that kind of noise. My perfect impression of a lightsaber.
That sounded good.
The lightsaber came with a plastic Darth Maul mask, just a really cheap plastic, the kind that you wear for Halloween, you wind up cutting your tongue on the mouth slit. That mask. It came with one of those. So it was past my bedtime, meaning that it was probably like 10, because I was like 8 years old at the time. And I wasn't about to go to sleep because I don't know what was going on. I was probably nervous about my spelling test or something. And I grabbed my lightsaber, and I don't know what possessed me, but I grabbed the lightsaber and I grabbed the mask, and I put like a hoodie on, and I put like all black. I put like a black shirt, black pants, black hoodie. I pulled the hood over and just had the mask. And my sister, given that she's 5 years younger than me, she was like 3 or 4 at the time, and she was asleep. She was like, had been asleep since like 8 p.m. or something. And my room is right next to hers. So I walk over to her room completely dressed up with the plastic mask, the black hoodie, the black pants, the black shirt, lightsaber in hand. And the best part about this is that her door didn't close. Like, her door in our old house would stick. So it was easy to just push it open. So I just like, I didn't even kick it open. I didn't like, it wasn't forceful at all. It was just a gentle nudge, and the door just came swinging slowly open. And I'm sitting there, like, or standing there, full black, like holding this lightsaber with like this red and black mask. And I turn on the lightsaber, and so you get this like, these like 2 red lights in a pitch black hallway, and my sister just fucking screams bloody fucking murder. I can't even imitate it. Just like high pitched, shrill screech. And I just like walk back into my room, take everything off, and go to sleep. And my parents come over, and they're like, "What happened? What happened?" And I hear them like with my sister. And I'm just sitting there like, whatever. And they come into my room. It's like, something came in, and it had like, it's scary. It was like the devil. And they come in, and they're like, "What did you do?" I'm like, I don't know. I just thought it'd be funny. And they're like, "She's gonna fucking have to sleep with us now. Like, why would you do that? Why the fuck?" And I was like, Evil Riley.
That's Evil Riley.
So that was one of my favorite stories of me being an asshole to my sister. But for some reason, the one that she more remembers isn't even very like rememberable at all. Like, she always brings it up, and she'll be like, "Well, there was that one time that you sat on my head," and like, I literally for a second pretended that she wasn't laying down, and I was like, "Oh, what's this lumpy thing on the bed?" And I sat on the bed, and she was like, "Stop it!" And I got up, and then for some reason she remembers that like vividly, and is always upset about it. And I was like, "But what about the time that I pretended to be like a demon at your door? What about that?"
Oh, that's going to come out in therapy in 10 years.
I hope so.
She'll dig down deep and go, "Oh my God, that's why I'm all messed up. Riley pretended he was a demon."
I hope it does come out, because I want someone to come to me and just like analyze why I would have done something. And I'm like, why wouldn't I have done that? Like, who wouldn't do that?
Evil Riley from a young age.
I'm really digging deep for these new stories. Like, it's hard. Like, I have to really remember. This weekend with my family in town, I'm gonna ask them like all the different stories that they remember, and I'm gonna start taking notes down, so every week I can have something prepared.
Yeah, because it's the most popular part of the show. They really don't care about the books. They just want to hear about you being evil.
Are we done talking about like 15 different comics that no one's gonna fucking read anyway? All right, here we go, Evil Riley.
That's exactly right. Well, that was terrible. That was traumatic. That was truly evil.
Yeah, I don't think any of my stories have actually like traumatized people. Like, I don't think anything I've done. Maybe the Nazi Legos.
Did Colin work in Nazi Legos into that song?
I think so.
I think so too.
Something like swastika Lego. I don't know. But speaking of Colin, similarly to last week, we did a little shout out for Giovanni and his channel, which was A Week in Geekdom, and I decided this week that I wanted to give a shout out to Colin as well. His channel is Super Mr. O'Neill. I'll try to get a link down in the description after this video is finished. Colin's been a good friend of mine for probably like 5 years now online. He lives up in Canada, in Cape Breton, and I've known him since back in my early Tumblr days, and I think he probably found me because I would always post stuff about Grant Morrison, and he loves Grant Morrison too. And Colin's he's been a real like good friend to me for the past 5 years, and he posts some of the most hilarious shit.
Yeah.
And he does videos that are like comic book related, but they're also hilarious. Like, great sense of humor, great editing on his part. So, you know, if you like videos that are funny but also informative, and possibly like a opinion that's different the way you might usually get, because he tends to have a lot of opinions that are different, such as he hates the X-Men. So that's
I don't think I've picked up on that.
Yeah, he does. He completely, you know, he'll say like fuck the muties and stuff like that. He's read a few X-Men books. Like, he enjoyed Ecstatics, but overall he does not like the X-Men. So that's one thing where we butt heads, but he's still my bro. He's still my friend. And I definitely want to give him a shout out because he puts out some really quality stuff. And I don't remember what his name is on Instagram, but if you follow him on Instagram, he always posts really fucking hilarious photos on there. Like, my wife and I are always laughing about everything he posts. And he's one of the admins of our Facebook group as well. So Jess and I are talking to him on a consistent daily basis. So we all we know that he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is very funny. He is very
I just wanted
funny.
to give a shout out to Colin's channel, give him some good love because he's always been there for me. So I want to support him and back him up.
And what's the name of that channel again?
Super Mr. O'Neill.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna look it up for the spelling. I think it's, I don't know. I'm gonna find it in a bit, but
And you could post a link to it.
yeah, I'll post the link down at the bottom there, but yeah, I'll have the link and everyone can check it out. I know some of y'all are already familiar with him, and you're probably familiar with his channel, so spread the love, guys. But other than that, unless you have anything, I guess we're going towards the end of our video and just taking questions and stuff.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, so at this point, like always, we're in the last 10-15 minutes of our video, and y'all can submit any sort of questions or comments to us. I'm sorry it's not the whole trio right now, but we'll do our best to keep you guys entertained and answer whatever questions that you have. So go ahead and lay it on us, guys. Rob wants my shirt, my Cowboy Bebop. Hey, what's up? We're finishing up in a few minutes. What?
Nothing.
Is that your lovely bride?
Yeah, my wife just checking up on me because I think we're going out to eat a little bit later. Oh, Ricardo is giving us a plug for his upcoming series. Is it pronounced atoll? Atoll? I know he's been
Oh.
posting artwork, and Ricardo's art is just incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
So I've been looking forward to checking out what he's going to be doing.
I forgot to mention one thing about the fade out earlier. What did I? Ugly McGregor. That must be Lewis. What did I forget? Well, Lewis, what did I forget? Yeah, I agree. Ricardo has amazing artwork. Let me see if I can find what he did for me. If it's down here.
While you look for that, Kenneth asked, what are our favorite Supergirl story arcs? I think Jess has that classic Omnibus, but I really haven't read much Supergirl.
Yeah, he did
I read a little bit.
Elektra.
Yeah, that Elektra. It's
live
beautiful.
here. Yeah. Ricardo Drummond did this Elektra that I'm going to get framed and put somewhere in the house.
So if y'all enjoy that artwork,
Pretty boss.
check
I have
out-
no idea what you're saying because I don't have my headphones in. Oh, here it is. This is Ricardo's Elektra for me that he did.
I was just saying that if they enjoy that image, that painting that he did, to definitely check out his upcoming series that he's doing the art on.
Yeah, this is like, I think this is going to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in the future. Maybe I shouldn't even frame it. Maybe I should stick it in a safe deposit box because Ricardo is so talented. I have no doubt that that comic book is going to launch him into fame. After seeing some of his other stuff, he's just incredibly talented.
I'll have to post a link to his Facebook page as well because he's got all these great images, always churning them out, like great images. I remember he did a 11 for Stranger Things that was beautiful. He did images for each of the Netflix shows when they started coming out. Really great stuff, always. Let me see. I did have someone ask on here, what's the most overrated Image series right now? And a couple people said The Walking Dead. And I have to agree, not because I don't enjoy The Walking Dead, but because so many people like treat it as if it's God level when it's like, it's good. I don't even think it's the best thing that that Robert Kirkman writes, honestly.
I've never read it, and I've never seen the show, and I have absolutely no idea if it's overrated or not.
It's good. It's definitely good. It's really easy to read. Also, I think I read the first compendium, like 48 issues, within a day or two, I believe it was, and my wife read it too. How fast did you read that?
6 years ago.
I think you read it in like less than a week. You churned through the first like 80 issues or something in those two books. And like it's real easy to read. It's really, good, but it's just not as like God level as a lot of people put it out to be. And I think a lot of it is that it's just really, meandering, and it's really just continuing along at a basic story that just continues in the same way every single week. But or every month rather.
Thoughts on Fables? I love Fables. I don't think that there's a book that I've loved as much as Fables since Irredeemable. I loved. People say that it goes quality dips some places, goes up, it dips. I personally found that it was high quality all the way through. I loved the whole concept. The art is brilliant, and the writing is top notch. I can't say enough about Fables. I love it, and I love that it's available in an oversized hardcover. It's gorgeous and never once failed to keep my attention. I loved it the whole way through.
I still haven't finished. I think I have like 30 issues left that I need to complete reading. But from what I did read, I really enjoyed it. There are some arcs that dip a little bit, but overall it has a really great story, and really great artwork as well. I enjoy the take that Willingham has had on these characters.
It would have made a great series on Showtime or HBO, I think.
Oh yeah, I think it could be a good. It should, if anything, be animated. I think it would be really interesting to have a high budget animated adult show.
Yeah. Well, Lewis, where'd you go? What part did I forget about Fade Out? I'm gonna have to look and see what part I forgot. Yeah, Mark Waid should throw me some commission money. I probably sold 1,000 copies of Irredeemable in the past 2 weeks.
People are mentioning Superman and Action Comics from Rebirth. Both of them are good, but Superman is way better than Action Comics. If you enjoy the Green Lantern Corps or Batman and Robin by Tomasi and Gleason, it's the same team doing the same thing that they're so great at doing. It's just fantastic storytelling.
I haven't read them yet, so I don't have an opinion. Sorry.
I know you read the Lois and Clark miniseries.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Whenever both of the series kind of spin out of that, but I think this one kind of spins out of that even stronger, even though it's not written by Jurgens. So I think you'll definitely enjoy what they're doing here.
Okay, good.
I think I need to wrap this up because Megan and I have to get going for we're meeting like your cousin or something.
Right. Okay. Before that, let me just say, Lewis said playlist. That's right. Let me say that I apologize, Lewis. I said I was going to mention it. Thank you for reminding me. Lewis did a playlist on Spotify that while you're reading Fade Out, it plays songs from that era or film noirish songs. Lewis put together over 3 hours worth of music that you can listen to while you read Fade Out, and I listened to it while I read Fade Out, and it was fantastic. And I apologize, Lewis. That was an amazing effort you put together for Fade Out, and it was a highlight of helping me read the book.
Awesome. Whenever I've read it before, but whenever I read it again, I might have to check out Lewis's playlist then.
Yeah, I hope he does more for more books. That'd be great.
Yeah, do it. Do it.
Do it, Lewis. Do it for like 50 more books. You don't have anything you're doing right now anyway.
He's not busy working on films and stuff.
Right.
But anyway, I guess we need to wrap this one up. Like I said, got to get going. Sorry we didn't have the whole trio for the whole video this time, but we will catch up with everyone next week. We've got some cool stuff coming up, I know. And did you have anything else you wanted to say before we peace out, Jess?
It didn't get mentioned this week, but I'm sure you're thinking it. Fuck Greg Land. That's really what you can think of.
Yeah, that too. Fuck Greg Land, and y'all have a great day.
Sure, let's end on that.
All right, guys. Fuck Greg Land. Bye. No. Thank you guys for watching. As always, you can find Luis on his channel, Hardcover Reviews, doing what he does best. I think he's the best there is at what he does, in that he makes a ton of content consistently that looks great, and some I could never keep up with that. I honestly just can't even do more than these videos. So so you can find him at his Hardcover Reviews is his channel. You can find him on Twitter and all that stuff as well. Jess, you are on my page.
The Omnibus Collectors Comic Swap and Community. There, I said it right. You can
got it this time.
I'm Jess Bragg, also known as Omnidog. And I will try and help you find the long-lost books that you're having trouble finding. If I can find it, I will get it to you. That's what I'm famous for.
Great success stories. Great success stories. And of course, myself, I'm on the page, which I am running, as well as my website, theomnibuscollector.com. I have a couple of articles that I've been writing up right now about a couple of different books that I want to talk about. So look forward to that. And then, of course, my channel is just Rileymo. That's RYLEYMO. Or you can just search The Omnibus Collector on YouTube, and you'll find me popping up here and there. So until next week, you guys have a great night. Have a great week. And remember, fuck Greg Land.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Later.